Hello, everyone. I forgot to hit the button. Welcome to Truth Tuesday, second half. Hey.
I've done that before.
Yeah. I forgot to hit the go live for like 20 minutes, too.
Not that. I've done it that long before, but you didn't do it that long. I haven't seen the Andy and Jim Holter video yet, but we're going to watch it after dinner, so I'm excited to watch that.
I have so much I'm behind on. Which I don't know. This is the first time we've done the show in a while.
I know. I had a friend asking me about it on Spaces this weekend, and I was like, "Oh, we're gonna do one this Tuesday. We just haven't been able to. Like, I've been sick."
I had doctor's appointments. You had doctor's appointments with Ken, and then you didn't feel it was.
And I was sick, and yeah, it was
yeah.
a lot.
Weird thing, I tore my ACL is what my doctor thought, and what Kiff's thought, what I thought. Finally got in to see the orthopedic surgeon. And he's like, "You didn't tear your ACL." I was like, "Oh, great." He's like, "You don't have an ACL. You don't have ACL in either knee." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "You don't have cartilage either." So I bet that hurts really bad. I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, "Yeah, this is the worst knees I've seen in years. Maybe the worst knees I've ever seen." And I was like,
he said you were literally bone on bone.
It's like bone on bone. Mm-hmm. Alex is, the son's sitting there next to me. He's like, "Man, I bet that hurts really bad." I'm like, yeah. He's like, "There's nothing there. Nothing. They're just grinding." It's like, "You're a weird doctor, man." So it was very odd because usually doctors like, "Here, we can do. He's just like, "Man, it sucks to be you, but good luck." I was like, "Well, my old doctor before he retires just talked about knee replacement, but he said he wanted to put it off as long as possible because I was young. I'm old, but old people say young, because it only lasts like 10 years, and then you can only do it twice, and then after that, just cut your legs off." And he's like, "Yeah, well, that was how long?" I was like, "That was like 10 years ago." He's like, "Well, now they last almost 20 years, so." No, 20 years isn't bad. It's like, "So have to do knee replacement?" He's like, "No, you got bad circulation. You'll get an infection. We'll have to cut your legs off." I was like, "So what can we do?" It's like, "Nothing. But just go out there, live your life, man." Like, but I was hoping for like, here's a pill and you can fly. I was not expecting him to just say, screw off. But, and then Alex was like, "Well, what if he gets his circulation fixed and blah, blah, blah?" He's like, "Oh, then we'll just replace his knees." And then he said, "Tuesdays is knee replacement day. I do 2 or 3 every week." He's like, "You do 2 or 3 knee replacements every?" He's like, "Yeah, every Tuesday." I said, "Well, Wednesday's family night for us, so I can understand." It was like a Twilight Zone episode. It was so weird. And then everyone's like, "What are they going to do? What are you going to do?" I'm like, "Nothing." That's the thing. He was like, "Hey, this really sucks. Nothing. Just deal with it." So, but it's kind of liberating because, I've been for like the past 6 months, been putting it off and thinking I'm going to have to get this surgery. And then there's like 9 months of, recovery. And it was, now there's just nothing. You just do it. It's going to hurt. I did ask, is there if I start pushing my knees more, will my body make more like a lubricant? He's like, "Yeah, that will do that." He's like, "So it's going to hurt, but then do that, and then your body will, make more of the lubricant." I was like, "Is there anything for like dietary I can take that would help promote that?" He's like, "No." I was like, "Is there any kind of nutritional stuff that would help?" He's like, No, not really. There's nothing."
No, because doctors don't believe in nutrition.
That's the thing. I'm thinking he's like my current doctor, just a super shill for the pharmaceuticals, but he wasn't. He was like, "I could tell you could take these injections and stuff, He said when they came out, they said they were like 70% effective, but they lied to get their FDA approval. They're really like 48%, 47%. He starts like everything. Knew all these clinical studies and numbers, and he was like, "Dad, don't mess with that. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. This isn't worth it." So take your money. He's like, "Don't even get another MRI. You're wasting your money. Don't do it." But I was like, "What about chromium picolinate? This and that?" He goes, "Yeah, but this is only like a 15% thing, and that only." He's like, "Do it. Not telling you don't do it, but it's there's no magic thing.
You should take some C60 and you should do the New Eden, because it'll like get rid of your senescent cells, and it will help stimulate stem cells.
Yeah, I didn't know there was what's the difference? Do you know the difference between cacao and cocoa?
No, not really.
See,
Like, I think cacao is like the natural whatever, and then cocoa is probably after it's processed or something, but I don't really know.
Kind of. So because cocoa is cheap as hell and cacao is expensive as hell. And I thought it was just a scam, and it promotes the stem cells. So, I'm like having to do all the research. So I drink mushroom coffee every day, which tastes like coffee made with dirty water. But I want to put cacao in it. It's supposed to, make it, promote the stem cell and all that.
Yeah.
So I was like, why don't I just put cocoa, pure unsweetened cocoa?
Yeah.
And I got like the Ghirardelli's, really high quality cocoa. And so I look at it, and cacao is the bean ground. It's raw. Cocoa, it's toasted and ground.
Oh, okay.
And supposedly it loses, because of when you cook it, it loses a lot of the antioxidants and all the like 60 to 90%. But then it tells you to put it into hot water or milk to make a cocoa with it, which would be hot anyway. So I don't know. But I'm going to kill this big bag of Ghirardelli's before I buy that cacao. So, but because it's supposed to help. But I just gotta tough it out, just lose more weight, and it's gonna hurt a lot. That's it.
I'm sorry.
I thought about that. I need to have more money. I need to get more money so that I can do those things.
Yeah. I'm curious, like, it seems like, Bitcoin, I think did it hit 107 today?
I knew it was on its way up.
I know it's close. I know I hit like 106 something.
I lost a bunch of money trying to short it.
Oh, shoot.
Even though everything looked right for the freaking short, I'll tell you that. It is at 106.6.
Okay.
It did hit 107.3. 107.3, it topped out. Oh, not too long ago. I'm on a 2-minute chart, so that was, yeah. Let me switch it to an hourly. And 2 hours ago, it hit 107.3.
Okay.
It's moving. It's geez, these wicks are huge. They're like $1,000 wicks. Each one of these. There's a $2,000 candle there in a 1 hour. That's crazy. So it went from 107 down to 102, $5,000. So that's like 5% in 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 hours. It is a crazy volatility going on right now in Bitcoin. Yes, flavonoids. I drink green tea for flavonoids. So much. What else? Yeah. The flavonoids in the cocoa. I don't know. Flavonoids. But
flavonoids was the thing.
okay. And I am doing stuff for my gut health. I've been, I don't know, I've been eating like once a day now. So, but I do.
Like you had to do the 18-hour fast thing.
Now I just like make something and then eat like 2 bowls of it, and that's it. I'm just full. Eating yogurt. I did start making my smoothies with goat milk.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I bought a giant thing of goat milk for like $40 on Amazon, powdered, and Willow got it.
Oh no!
And the boys were like, "The house smells like feet. Why does goat milk stink so bad?" So they had like shampoo the carpets.
Oh no!
Yeah. So then I got another one, but I put it in the pots and pans in a pot in a cabinet so she can't get to it. But I was like, why would she get into this? Anyway. Once again, Jim, or the zoo, you don't have enough money. You got to get the all the money, and then all of a sudden they run slower. Yeah, like, oh, you're gonna catch me.
Mm-hmm. That's funny.
Under 50. I remember when I was under 50.
Neither one of us are under 50. Yeah.
It wasn't too long ago, but yeah, I hit 50. Okay.
Have a wonderful dinner. I am. We'll see you. Oh no, we won't see you Thursday. He's not going to be there Thursday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, what? So we were talking about the Genius Act.
Yes.
Which is a
terrible name.
Guide and establishing national innovation for U.S. stablecoins. That's the Genius Act. And there's a lot of weird stuff with it that I had thought that was weird, and then the more we read up on it, the weirder it got. Mm-hmm. The fact that it specifically says that this cannot earn interest in any way.
That does actually make sense, because if it is to represent if it's to be like, if they have to be 1-to-1 with the dollar, and the dollar is earning the interest, then it does prevent like a.
It didn't make sense until we looked at the permitted issuers, and anybody can issue money.
That's concerning.
They have to hold 1-to-1. So that, okay. Because then imagine if you go into AAA and you write them a check for your traveler checks, and then if you don't use the traveler checks, they earn interest. That's the same kind of thing. They wouldn't do that, because then AAA would be a bank. Oh, good God. But then banks are the ones that are issuing the money, the settlement coins. They have to change the name of it, because it's going to get too confusing. You can't really call it money. You got to call it settlement coins or something. But they can only be to pay for stuff. It's very odd. But I thought that at first we said it's a lot like the company store. It's just but the store, everyone, all the stores agreed to accept the company dollar. But then you get, you sent me that weird thing on the guy that said that Walmarts were part of the government and all that. Yeah. I've always said that literally you could work for Walmart, and when Walmart opened a doctor's office. Once they opened a doctor's office, I was like, they have an eye doctor, they have an emergency thing now. Mm-hmm. They had bank, everything was there. Basically, you could get paid in Walmart dollars, and you wouldn't have a real hard time with your family. Like, you could exist. All your needs are taken care of, even medical.
Yeah.
With Walmart dollars.
There was a movie where a girl lived in Walmart and never left. Remember that movie?
Mm-mm. Remember the
Um,
episode of King of the Hill?
no, there was like a movie where she like lived in the Walmart. I can't remember what it's called, but anyway.
Remember Tom Hanks lived in the terminal.
Yeah, I hope he is
That was
terminal too.
based on a true story, actually.
Yeah. Mhm.
There was a dude that lived in the terminal, an airplane terminal. Um, but there's a lot of really weird stuff, and you can go to Grok and type in what is the Genius Act. That's all. That's what I typed in. Lisa got a different thing. I
Mhm.
copied Genius Act from the Post. That's why it's giant. And I just said what is the and paste Genius Act.
Maybe because I didn't capitalize the word
Oh,
genius.
because it is an acronym. I will bet that's it.
I bet that's why mine didn't. Because
Because I didn't
mine,
know.
the Genius Act, if you don't capitalize it, is like some science fair thing.
Yeah, I think because I didn't know it was an acronym until
Hmm.
yeah, and it says the Genius Act. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably it. All right, a little grok know how.
Interesting. Interesting.
Speaking of interesting, you want to talk Pope stuff?
Sure.
Okay, so something that I learned, which I thought was interesting.
All right.
Um, so there's the whole Pope with the pictures and all the stuff that we've talked about and people talk about.
The
Um,
dead one or the new one?
the new one.
Okay.
Well, the pictures, there's only so many pictures. This was the last Pope, and then the prophecy it says
Oh,
this is
yeah.
Judgment Day, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But there's another thing that I didn't know about. So Pope Leo, that's who this guy is, Pope Leo, right?
Mhm.
But there was another Pope Leo, and there was a prophecy of Pope Leo, the first one. He was preaching mass. This was like 100 years ago, 80 years ago, something like that. Um, but and this is in front of thousands of witnesses. It's like the Pope, doing mass. There's thousands of people there,
Okay.
and he's preaching, blah blah blah, and then he freezes. His eyes turn white. He says he basically God and the devil start talking in front of all these thousands of people, and it's just like Job. It's just like a lot of things that bugged me about Scripture when I was a kid. That the devil's like, hey man, basically he tempts God, and God always gives in. He's like, hey, your guy here doesn't really love you, and he's just because you make him, happy. And then he's like, go ahead, fuck with him. Go ahead, take everything away. Go ahead, ruin his life. Go ahead, make him sick. Go ahead and torture him, and then you'll see. And then Job goes through all this shit.
Mm-hmm.
But why does God want to prove? I always wondered that. Why does God want to prove himself to the devil? Why does he keep doing that? It annoys me. But that's basically what happened. So the devil's like, your church, they don't really love you. Your church is weak. I could take it over. I could destroy it. And God said, really? You can? How? He goes, I just need more power and I need time. He said, and God said, how much time you need? He said, 75 to 100 years. He goes, you have the power. You reign on that world. He goes, you have the time. Go ahead, do your worst. He goes, so within the 100 years, the
And then
devil
he created Hillary.
was supposed to ruin the church and
Yeah.
destroy it and take it over. And that
Mhm.
was going on 100 years ago. And now this is all the other prophecies, and this is the new Pope Leo. I thought it was pretty.
That's interesting.
I thought it was interesting, but I thought it was more interesting that I hadn't heard that. When you
And
heard all the
considering
other
that
stuff.
we are at that place again where so much of that's repeating with um uh when they talk about the debauchery that was you know um going on with what was happening around World War II and all that stuff, like the well, and even Rome, um you know I mean, it's like there are these repetitive
Yeah.
cycles that happen,
Speaking of
and
repetitive cycles,
society falling, and we are there again.
since then, like every 100 years, the 20s to the 40s, there's always massive depression, war, massive depression, war. And we're here at this point now where we're starting some big depression, and there's wars everywhere. I mean, there's never been this massive superpower like the United States. So I think there's kind of black swan, and it's weird how like our president is going around trying to stomp out all these little fires that are little fires.
And he's saying, that's not my war. That's not our war. That's not our war. Yeah.
But also stopping, the wars. The Middle East, it's like they're talking about that Middle East thing was crazy. The fact that he didn't go to Israel and he went to all those Arab countries, and he's like, hey, man, you guys have done, great things. And we need to turn the Middle East and Arab countries into, what would he say? Like compromise, not conflict. But it was like
he said you need to run out the terrorists.
But it was like, it was like compromise, not conflict, and start exporting goods and culture and not terrorism. It's like focus on building, focus on, basically, putting your country first and not putting destruction first. It was a very different. He talked about like uniting, and it's something we don't ever want. We don't want Africa to get fixed and unite and get better. We don't want the Middle East. We want everything destable so that the only stabling factor is our dollar. But hopefully things are changing. I don't want to be hopeful, but
you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah, there's a chance.
No, it's been interesting to kind of watch, and it's been interesting to watch. There are things that have never happened before, and we're seeing these cultures. And I thought it was really interesting when he was in. I guess that's the first time an American president's ever gone to the UAE and Qatar. Was that right, or was it just to the UAE?
I think it was. I think it was both.
Was it both? Okay. And then they showed that beautiful palace, and they showed where they went into their the place where they do their religious beliefs or whatever, which I believe is Muslim, I think. And they had a cross, and they were explaining, well, that's for us to understand that we can respect other religions and live in peace with Christianity. And I was like, wow. That's because, traditionally we've been told, or I've been told, that it was, they get so many virgins if they kill all the Christians or whatever. And so it's like,
that's the thing. So, and that's what bothered me the most the past year or so, that I brought up on World Blockchain Roundtable and other places we talk about it, is that people, regular normies, are talking about Zionism and Zionists.
Right.
And they're like, yay for Zionists. I'm like, no. That's like saying yay for Muslim extremists, yay for the Inquisition, when the Catholic Church was, killing people. So yay for that. That every religion has their fanatic nuts that want. They're bad guys that want to do bad, basically. And that's what the Zionists are. That's not what Jews are. It's what Zionists are. They're superior. So there's supremacists. There was that in Christendom. There's Sunni Muslims and Shiite, and they're very different. And that's the thing, like Saudi Arabia, and the UAE, and they're the ones that are more unification, get along with each other, moving forward. And then there's the other ones, which I think Iran, and I think, was it Syria? I don't know, but there's like less of them.
Mhm.
They're the other way, where Jews got to die, from the river to the sea, that kind of thing. So it is one religion, but there's different aspects of it, just like there's you know different aspects in Christianity. Um, but you have to, like I told my friend, you got to be able to call out the bad in whatever
Mhm.
religion there is or whatever you're a part of, and say, hey, no, that's wrong. You know,
Yeah.
um, and that is one way putting that up there. I think Christians have got the judge not unless you be judged, and I'm just here to try and save your soul. I'm not here to condemn it or to hurt you. And if you believe your religion is right, then that should in my opinion, that should be the way it is. I'm like, hey man, you really got to go with what I'm doing. It's the best thing for you. If not, you're gonna be punished. I'm not gonna punish you, but it's gonna suck for you. Um, it should be more you're sad for someone else, not that you want to hasten their descent to hell. you know.
Right.
Um, but yeah, every religion has its dark side and its bad guys, um, especially throughout history. But the people of that religion especially need to call it out, or else everybody will lump you in with that group. All Christians are this, all Christians are that, all Muslims are this, all Jews are that.
I think we could say that not just with religion, but apply that to politics as well. That's where we were seeing, what, like we were talking earlier on my channel, where we were talking about some of our left friends were saying, well, oh, this, and we were like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
quit with the insider trading, and they're like, wait a minute, what do you mean? We're done with all the wrong and the bad. No matter what, this is not about choosing a side. This is about, good and evil and wrong and right. And this is about, we the people being supported and not the
Exactly.
leaders. It's
Or the
about,
party, or
yeah, or the
the
party.
team. Just start calling it, a team, because that's
Yeah.
like my friend. He. It's I hate getting the notifications like he sent you a reel. He sent you a reel. He sent you a reel. It's like, dude, it's just going to be something that's freaking stupid, and you can't agree. Ever since Obama took office, because if Obama did something bad, you could say, hey, that's bad, and then people say, yeah, but Bush did this.
Yeah. You've talked about that
And I
before.
remember saying, like, well, then it was bad for him to do that. I'm not saying, what are you talking about? You know what I mean?
Yeah. My mom always said 2 wrongs don't make
Yeah,
a right.
I've said that so many times to my friends. I've used that. So I was like, dude, it's like your mom said, 2 wrongs will make a right. But then they're like, yeah, but it's different this time because that was and then they're like, no. And the cages thing, it's the airplane from Qatar,
Mhm.
right? That they donate, that was started, the negotiations for them to do that and give it under Biden.
Well, and to that point, like Clinton actually received a helicopter from somewhere
Yeah,
and received it personally and still flies in it to this day.
but that's
Personal.
different and blah, blah, blah. But this, when someone says this is
Yes.
the worst thing ever, and then you're like, but this exact thing was started over here.
Was started
If he
under
would have
Biden.
he would have won,
Yeah.
he would be the one getting the plane. So
Yeah.
do you see how no. It's like
Yeah.
no. There's no argument. It's like that guy. I don't know, the mustache guy. I always forget his name, but he was on Rogan, and I like what he says because whenever he's like the Epstein thing or Podesta or whoever, Hillary and Podesta, he really hits it hard on. It's like, hey man, these are so many terrible things. And then Rogan was like, yeah, and did you hear about this? And he starts talking about conspiracy-ish stuff that has a lot of, but he's like, no, don't do that. Don't start talking about it. There's so much verifiable facts
Right.
that
Just
are
stay right here.
just stay here. Don't even bring that up. Don't open the can of worms. Just stay right here with this stuff. But there's no debate. There's no talking, because ever since, like I said, years and years, ever since Obama came in, if you say something's wrong, then they're like, well, that other guy did it, so we're allowed.
Mhm.
That's why I'm like, yeah. Now, when people are saying, hey, Republicans are doing this and it's wrong, I'm like, it is wrong. But Democrats did it to them when they were in power. And then I'm like, I'm not saying two wrongs make a right, but if they don't do it, they're bitches. And they need to do it so that you're as mad as we were when they were doing it. So we get rid of the system. It has to. Now you understand how bad it is and how it can be used.
Well, it just needs to go. Yeah. It
Yeah.
needs to break. Like you said, it needs to go away.
Yeah. And we need to
say enough.
It's not even rebuilding it. It's just doing things the way that the founders intended, because it was so simple. Don't have a central bank. Don't have a party system. Don't have a party system. You could get down to two parties and then there's no real choice. But they laid it out. So simple rules. And we did not do it.
Well, and Kash Patel did say, I mean, I was busting his chops earlier, but he did make a statement on, I think, that same interview where he said Epstein killed himself. He did say that people need to learn that the federal bank is a private entity, and that it's not a government agency. And so there were some truths coming out.
It's interesting. Let me tell you a little story about young Sean. So I grew up around Fort Hood, right? Military area.
Yeah.
People are stupid. I've always been a bit of a hustler. I thought, you know what? When I get out of school, I'm going to start a rental company, and I'm going to make black and white signs for houses, and the name of my company will be government approved. Government approved rentals. Everyone with their BAH, everyone with their HUD, they're all going to come to the government approved. And then I found out it's against the law, because you're fooling people into thinking that you have a license, or I forget. I mean, this is back in the 1900s when I came up with this idea. So, but you're fooling people to thinking you have. It's like calling yourself a doctor when you just use crystals and whatever. So
false representation.
False representation. So it's against the law. So then how can the Federal Reserve say that? You know what I mean? Because everyone thinks.
Good point.
I don't understand how they can operate then under that law.
Because they're not federal and they have no reserves.
Yeah. Well, they're not federal to call themselves the Fed. I mean, how much worse can it be than the Fed?
Mm-hmm.
Are you connected with the federal government? Well, no. But you're called the Fed.
Literally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of all names. Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know how they can. But then, like we've talked about, there's so many laws that are already on the books are just ignored for certain people. Like I brought the FCC for the past 8 years. How is there fake news if it's technically illegal? There's this government agency that could pull the licenses at any time or fine them millions of dollars and get more money to put towards the debt or whatever, and they just don't do anything. All of a sudden, as soon as Trump comes in this time, he's like, we're going to pull licenses for ABC, CBS, NBC. All of a sudden, we're going to use the laws that are there.
Well, I thought that one was because Obama had created that law where the news stations could lie to people.
They could use propaganda.
Use propaganda.
No.
And so that's why that was being allowed for all these years.
Now you're getting into like weird stuff, because like things that are not supposed to happen. There's like two things that are, it's illegal, but it's not illegal, like pot. End result, if you have a dispensary, you can't deposit money in your bank because it's against the law federally. But it's
Right.
completely illegal where you're at. So
Or
it's
red
a
state.
weird.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I think that's where we're at with the fake news and the SEC.
That's a great point. Yeah.
But still, people were cursing. I mean, I've heard like news reporters cursing on regular cable TV. That wasn't cool. When Bobbitt got his wiener cut off, they said penis for the first time, and it was like the biggest shock in the world. They were like, "Is this allowed? Does this need to be beeped?" So that agency was not doing what they need to do, and now all of a sudden, because the Obama law is still there, but Trump was talking about he won lawsuits. He and the SEC is talking about pulling their license, and that's another thing. I keep bringing that up. My friends on the left are like, the Kamala interview was not doctored, and
Oh,
I'm
come
like,
on.
dude, it was. They put the answer for a different question. It's like, no.
Well, and they've released the full
It's just
video.
edited. It was just edited, for time, and I was like, no, that's so. I'm like, all right, man, we agree to disagree, buddy.
Like cognitive dissonance is a real thing. And that is going to be really painful for them.
Yeah.
When they have to wake up. Like the further you are from truth, and I'm not saying that I am right about everything or whatever, or that I don't have my own sort of cognitive dissonance in some area of my life, but whatever that is for people, like the further you are from truth when it hits you, I mean, I've had those situations in my own life in the past, and I can tell you from experience, it's incredibly painful.
I think a lot of people don't. You think you hit the nail on the head with the painful. They don't want to accept the pain, so they're just like, no. I'm just going to keep ignoring it and going along with my fantasy, because it is
that whole ostrich saving thing. I think that's what they're talking about with all that going on. I don't know.
Ostrich egg thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been looking for ostrich eggs everywhere now.
No. Have you seen this thing where they're like, there's an ostrich farm or something, and they're
Canada.
saying, that they're gonna kill these ostriches and they're gonna save the ostriches. I think it's some like calm about like how many normies are just sticking their head in the sand and they're trying to wake them up, and I don't know.
I saw this hilarious lady from Canada. She goes, you know what it's like living in Canada? It's like if you wake up and the government says everyone needs to eat shit, and then the Canadian Broadcast Network, government TV, all the news on that we have tells us that eating shit is great, and then all of a sudden all these influencers and other people start talking about eating shit and how good it is, and there's posts about it, and there's shit eating recipes, and then like 80% of our population starts to eat shit. That's what it's like living in Canada. It's like, it's pretty funny.
While the Muslims move in and take over your country.
There's an interesting thing. Now
what's happening?
I can tell you. So I've worked with projects, huge projects. When we're based in Canada, a lot of Chinese folks, a lot of very wealthy Chinese folks in Canada, and I didn't know this, but the Canadian government has allowed the Chinese military to move into a lot of parts of Canada, which no one talks about that. I'd never heard that before. So the article I read was that Canada is already, it won't be the 51st state because it's already been taken over and infiltrated. And I was always really surprised. And a lot of my friends that are and these like wealthy people and with like big, like we're friends with Trudeau's family and that kind of thing. They're just, it's like Mexicans in San Antonio. That's like Chinese people in suburbs in Ontario and in parts of Canada. So there is a massive influx, and Canada's tiny. Canada's like one of our states in population. It's huge, but there's like, I think it's 30 or 50 million, 30 million.
Really? When I went, you didn't see so many Asian people, as many as Muslim or Middle Eastern looking people. I don't know.
What's the population of Canada?
In 2025, the population of Canada is 40.1 million.
40 million, right? So, Jesus, wow. It was like 30 some million before. And they have there's this initiative that the Liberals want to put out. It's called 100. 100 by, I think.
Oh, I think I remember you talking about that.
They wanted to triple the population in like 6 years. And the Conservative Party is like, hey, we can't triple population. We don't have the infrastructure, we don't have jobs, we don't have. That's insane, and that's why they want to really do the like mass migration. Bringing in tons and tons of people. I guess because they think this is like more people will give them more power, but it was like 30 million like a couple of years ago. That's like a state. That's literally 1/10. It's less than a tenth. I mean,
if we're 330.
Yeah, we're like 300. We're like 400 million people. And Canada's it's this like the second biggest country in the world. It's huge. Anyway,
yeah, it's interesting.
A lot of interesting stuff. Chinese women, she says, the real population of China is closer to 400 million. It's all an illusion. There's a lot. That's a good word, Jim, to use with China, is illusion. There's so much that is fake. And just like they spray paint. The government pays people to spray paint like mountains, crops, so that from satellites and from like drones and stuff, it looks different. It looks better. They spray animals with paint. What's the ADV China? These are like these two dudes. They have two different channels, but they used to live in China, and they used to say like kind of they would give you like the real thing about China, but then they left. And once they left, they're like, we're out of China. We can tell the truth. It's so much worse. And the tariffs were crushing China. They were crushing it quicker than I thought it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen quick, but I didn't think it'd be that quick. I mean, they're all construction pretty much stopped. They were bankruptcies out the butt. That happened so fast, and that's you can't bring that up. That they got a decent trade deal, and have done a lot of the dogs painted like they paint so much stuff. It is I can't even begin to start talking about stuff.
That is really funny.
I think they've made more ships in a year than we have like in the past 100 years.
But maybe they haven't.
No, I think they have, but they're not good. There's a lot of just putting them out that just numbers.
I know I am, and I did a couple shows on China and the ghost cities and all that. He had a lot of great information on that.
Yeah, I think India is a big thing.
They have a young, population, and and they're
like you said, so much of what China is India's Mexico. Like so much stuff comes from India that you had found out about, like pharmaceuticals and that kind of thing, and that it's just made over there. It's just labor, and if India can build that labor force, number one, they're going to raise their people out of poverty. They're going to become more economically stable, like China did, but they have the resources. for the medicines and for other stuff. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch India in the future. I hope they can break out of their like caste system kind of that culture, that really holds people back. So, anyway, I got to run.
Yeah, we should wrap it up. We've been going for a while.
It
was good hanging out with y'all. Please remember to hit the like button. If you want to, I should have brought this up earlier, but you can head over to BC Game and use code Satoshi Sean. They're not sponsoring this or anything, but you get actually it's I think 700% bonus on when you deposit that they'll give you if you use code Satoshi Sean now. They doubled it from 360, but if you want to do that, and you may need to use a VPN depending on your state, but not if you're in Canada, but if you're here in the US. And I know if you're in Texas, you use VPN, but you guys take care. It was good hanging out. I will see you all Thursday. Are you going to be on World Blockchain Roundtable?
It depends on our trip, on our driving. I'm going to do my best to be on. I will be jumping on Taco Tuesday tonight on Twitter Spaces. So
sounds good. I'm looking.